channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for watching. This is my channel called Erica's Diary, where I just talk to you about things that I've been going through, things that I've gone through, just in hopes that my experiences or what I've learned can help you in some way, or that you can resonate with it. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So you guys, I wanted to tell you about what I did not think would be so hard for me. And this has to do with me, Erica. I have met somebody new. What? Hallelujah. No. So, if you'll remember, or if you watched some of my last videos where I talked to you about like different relationships I've experienced, or situationships, or me trying to date, get to know people, and just wasn't working. I was running into a dead end all the time, and to where it got frustrating. So on my last video where I talked about my vision board for 2022, one of the sections on that vision board was about my love life, because I felt like for several years that portion of my life had been dead. Like, it didn't exist. It was barren. It just was dried up. It just wasn't fruitful at all, and it was just all bad. So I remember expressing to you guys that in 2021 it really had been the year that I have cried the most, and a lot of it was releasing a lot of emotional pain, emotional baggage that I didn't even know I was still carrying. It had a lot of healing and me facing what I needed to heal from, me facing or having to let go of certain people that I did not necessarily want to let go of, or I wasn't ready to, and just working through those different damaging moments from a relationship. So with all of that being said, while I was doing my healing and my focusing on myself, sis, and I was really into a lot of teachings about singleness, a lot of teachings about marriage, what you should do to be prepared for that, how you should be living in your singleness and single life, or what you should be looking for when in your partner or in your purpose partner who God intends for you to be with. So I was doing all of those teachings, and I really felt like I had the tools, the knowledge. I've had the bad experiences to know what to look for in terms of red flags and things like that. And so I had moments of loneliness. I had moments where I felt like I was never going to meet someone that wasn't going to cause me to have to rebuild myself back up from being emotionally damaged. So I really got discouraged, because it's hard out here. It really, y'all, it is hard out here in these streets. And that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. And I might make a video discussing how hard it is out here in these streets when it comes to trying to find a genuine love interest that wants the same things as you, that is not out here trying to run the streets and just do craziness. So anyway, so one of the teachings that I really spent a lot of time on was the story of Adam and Eve. And I won't get all preachy and into that, but it basically just says that Adam and Eve, when God put Adam to sleep, and when he put him to sleep, that is when he took his rib and created Eve. So that's how they became one, and it's Adam and Eve, right? But the point that that gave me understanding about where is my Adam, where is my Adam, where is my Adam, was that God has to have his alone time and his one-on-one time with Adam, because Adam was the only one in the first one in the garden. His assignment was to manage that garden, right? So he had his only alone time with God, and then God put him to sleep. So that's my thing. For comfort for me, I was like, whoa, well, clearly my Adam is still asleep. Can someone wake him up? Because I'm awake, clearly. So anyway, that gave me a lot of confirmation and just clarity on, like, girl, just wait, let God work on him, let God bring him to you. And so then it said that God brought the woman to the man. So anyway, because I had all those teachings, when it was time for me to do my vision board for this year, I did this vision board in December, obviously, of 2021. And I had this section on there for my love life. Because like I said before, I just felt like it was just so dry and it was just, and I was getting frustrated a lot of the times last year because I felt like there was just no hope. And so when I'm flipping through the magazines to cut out these different parts, there is a advertisement. I can't remember what the advertisement was, but it had Garden of Eden across it. And so I cut that out because that is the name of the garden that Adam and Eve were in. So I was like, oh, that'd be great for this section of my vision board, because that is symbolic to the teachings that I've been watching for the past several months, right? So I'm thinking of this all deep. You know, some people will make vision boards and they be like, girl, it's not that deep. Everything is deep to me. Everything is a sign and a synchronicity, and it's deep. Okay. So I'm like, oh, that's a sign. So anyway, so obviously I cut out my name, and then I found something that said Adam's Project. And so I cut out Adam and I put it on my vision board, right? Just as to symbolize what I'm hoping for this year. Now, side note, I have not been in a real committed relationship in several years. I mean, it's probably been, I would say 2018 would be when I really was like, really 2016 was like kind of the end of what I thought would be my Adam and Eve type of situation, but it wasn't. So it's been around that long. So anyway, in January, I went to North Carolina to attend my grandmother's funeral. And it was a really hard time, obviously, for me, my family. We were just all very distraught and devastated because my grandmother was the only grandmother that I've known. And especially growing up, like when I think about my childhood, that is the main, like the meat and potatoes of, you know, going to her and my grandpa's house over the summers. And like, so even going to North Carolina and walking into her home and seeing like all of my pictures on the wall, and you know, that I've had since I was a baby all the way up to like college. It was really, really, really emotional. And there's a point to me telling you this. So I always feel like I have to say that. Remember, everything is deep to me. So, after her homegoing service, which was beautiful, after that we had the repast where, you know, people come, the family comes and they eat and we just congregate with each other. So my cousins that I haven't seen in a long time were sitting at this table, and they're two boy cousins. So I ended up sitting beside my youngest cousin and just talking and catching up with him. And I noticed that I'm sitting next to this guy that I've never seen before. But when I saw him, I was like, who is that? Behind my mask and in my head, who is that? Just like, because I saw the dark skin and that was all she wrote. Yeah, I favor the dark skin. I mean, it really don't matter at this point, but that would get me to look real quick. Okay, so anyway, so as I'm talking to my cousin, we start sparking up a conversation because he kind of joins in with us, and then he starts talking to me about just chit-chatting. But one of the things that stuck out to me is we were talking about some of my like business ventures and brands and stuff like that. So he was like, well, hey, why don't you give me your Instagram and like my business Instagram page, and we can he was like, I can, basically we just networking, whatever. So why do I look up his Instagram? Remember, I'm deep. Everything is deep. Everything is a sign of synchronicity. His last name is Adams. Okay. Side note, remember my vision board. I cut out Adam's Project and I put my name. So my vision board says Erica Adam. I'm just saying. So I hope y'all following me. Okay, let me hurry up. So I saw it, but then I was just like, oh, interesting. So the next day I was like, okay, God, like obviously like that just kind of gave me like a wait a minute. Hold up. So The next day, he ended up sending me a DM about something we were talking about when I saw him. And then he was just like, I hope you have a great trip back to Texas, because at that point he thought that I was going back. So after that repass, he had actually came with me and my family back to my grandmother's house. Now remember, that is like nostalgia for me. That's my childhood. You got all my pictures where I ain't got no front teeth and all of that. And he let me know that like he's been to that home several times because he is actually a part of my uncle, who is a pastor. He's a part of my uncle's ministry, and he has been a part of it for years, and I mean like 10 plus years. So how is it that I've never known him? How is it that I've never even heard of him? So it's almost like this person has been hiding in plain sight the whole time. And remember, everything is deep. So that's what I need to call this video. Everything is deep. So I thought that was like kind of like wow, because for him to have already been in familiar territory and been around my family and like, you know, my uncle's right hand man this whole entire time, and so he already knows my family as far as my uncle and my cousins and my aunt, I was just like, wow, like, okay. So from that point on, we have been talking consistently every day. Now, he has a lot of green flags. He's definitely somebody that is different than I have ever encountered, just because of one, his level of maturity. Like I said, I am very big on faith, believing in Jesus, you know, feeling like meeting someone that has that same level or more would be great. I've always thought of that. Like I've dated people that like, oh yeah, I believe in God. I go to church. But like when you really live like a kingdom mentality, I've never had that before. And like I said, when I was studying things in 2021, it was about kingdom principles, kingdom living, how you operate in that realm. And so for me to meet someone that has been living their life that way, I was like, okay, this is totally different. So that strikes me as like, okay, this ain't no little boy that I've been dealing with these past several years. So I'm saying that because I didn't realize, how hard it has been to get to know him, because I immediately, when I realized that like, okay, this is someone that actually has potential, like for real, it scared me. And I went into a whole shell. I hid behind my wall. I won't even say I guard my heart. Like my wall is all the way up, because it's like, yeah, of course, when you meet someone new, you think it'll be exciting and it's just new and it's great and everything's working and flowing and the pieces are coming together. That is not how I felt. I felt scared. I ran back into the place of fear, because I was like, I thought if I met someone that could potentially be the real thing, I would just be like, oh yes, I'm ready. This is great. Let's move. But I was the opposite. And I'm still working through it, because I feel like I will say that I have been traumatized by men. So I had to realize that, okay, if I want something different with this person, I'm going to have to do something different. The last person that I really cared about the most, it never really went into a relationship. It kind of stopped at like a situationship. So in that situationship, one of the mistakes that I felt like I made was I gave that person all my time, all the time, right? So I told myself that like, one of the things that I appreciate in a man trying to pursue is calling. That may seem so simple or whatever, but don't just text me all day. Call me, pick up the phone and call me, pick up the phone, FaceTime me, in addition to texting. Like, I can't have a relationship with you and all we do is text and I never hear your voice. So that's my preference. So with that situationship that I had, that was one thing that he really did all the time, was FaceTime me all the time. So when it's new and it's exciting, of course you're going to want to talk to that person all day, every day, and do all of that. But that really burned me in the end, because that created no boundaries. He called me any time of the night, any time of the day, anytime, and I'm available. Ladies, being too available will get you in some trouble sometimes. I'm not saying play games and just look at the phone while he called, but being too available can get you in a position where you could be possibly taken advantage of as that person that's always going to be there, and it don't matter what they do because they can just call you at any time and you just going to be there. So my point is, knowing how that was with that person, this new person also calls me, which I appreciate. However, I had to stand up and put a boundary in place like, hey, I appreciate that you call me every day. You're consistent with that. However, I am not going to be like, for example, falling asleep on the phone with you. I'm not going to do that. Even though in my mind, I'm like, I have been single for so long. I have been lonely for so long. I have been like by myself for so long. Of course, that sounds cute. But for me to have a boundary in place, I had to say, okay, I'll talk to you, but after this time, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm not going to already be falling asleep on the phone with you and doing all that lovey puppy love high school stuff, because I need to know that I have boundaries in place that you're going to respect. Does that make sense? And to me, having a boundary in place is a way to guard your heart. Having a boundary in place is a way to protect yourself, especially starting off. You could really tell if a person respects you or is really genuinely interested in you and pursuing you if you're putting those boundaries in place first. And then also for him and I to discuss boundaries within ourselves. Like, obviously he doesn't live in the same state as me, so we discussed if I ever went back home up there with him to visit him, I wouldn't even stay where he stays. I would stay with my family, because again, made the mistake of crossing boundaries with people that I never established a union with, right? So just when I say all of these things, putting boundaries in place and really sticking to them is hard. And I just realized that meeting someone new was not easy for me, because it was scary, because I was like, okay, I've already been through this. I've already met someone new before. Like, it was good and then it went to trash. Like, but I went into that with the negative mindset. So I had to talk myself down. I've talked to my friends about it too. Like, I'm in my head a lot about everything. Again, everything is deep. I went in my head about everything. So now we're in the springtime now, and I have really I sat with God and I asked him about this situation and this particular person, and I had a clear understanding of what I'm supposed to do about it, or how I'm supposed to navigate right now in this moment. So that allowed me to okay, well, you can let your wall down. You can continue to guard your heart, but you can let your wall down a little bit. So, and it's about just giving someone the fair chance, and not thinking off bat that because you've been hurt before, because you've seen this before, because you've been happy off top before, that it's going to just crumble. So, I just thought that I would share that with you. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have an update video about how things are going too, especially when we are able to actually spend some in-person time together. That's another big thing for me, because it's one thing to get to know someone over the phone, but then it's a different thing when you're in each other's presence. You see how they move, you see how I move, you see, it's different. So just wanted to share with you guys that met someone new, and everything is deep. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you can relate to this story. I hope that you can. I hope I'm not the only one that be out here scared when you meet someone that is potentially the real thing. So let me know what you thought about this video. Give this video likes up, and I will see you next time. Bye.